my name is Dylan.
And I'm Kiyan.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we try and bribe Kublai Khan with alien technology.
And it doesn't work. Spoiler.
It doesn't work.
He doesn't let us go home. We're recording this.
But not because of the alien technology.
Yeah. That.
So this week, we watched the serial Marco Polo, which doesn't exist. As in, they don't have footage of it.
Oh.
Not like it was made up.
It was all in our minds. We created it.
No.
We just inserted it into the first series.
Well, we decided that was the best place for it. No, we watched a reconstruction.
Yeah, it was basically, they, destroyed all the footage.
Yeah, because they wanted... BBC destroyed a bunch of episodes from the early Doctors, the first and second, because they needed space.
And for economic reasons, according to the Wikipedia article.
So
they took pictures on set, and they they licensed out this company, Loose Cannon, to reconstruct the episodes using the pictures they took on set, and they still had the audio for the episodes, so they used that. And so basically it's just still pictures with audio and some captions.
Telling us what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, Tagana kills.
Tagana. The captions were so nonchalant about people dying. It was like, the guard gets stabbed and dies.
Tagana slashes the air with his sword. So the death count doubled from this episode alone.
Yes, it did.
From the serial, I mean. So, yeah, we'll just...
There were 4 in one episode, though. Or 3. I think these are all one.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
the lost 1, 2, 3. The lost 4 are all in the lost episodes, so... Okay, so we'll just start, I guess, with a summary, like we usually do. So how did it start?
They land in these snowy mountains, and Ian examines the prints.
Oh, right.
And that was one of the captions.
They find these giant, or at least they think they're giant, footprints, and they examine them. And the doctor's like, no, that looks like a regular footprint, right? Was that a doctor? Someone said it looked like a regular footprint, and the snow just melted.
These other travelers find them, which turns out to be Marco Polo and his
troop heading to Kublai Khan. Yeah,
to marry off Ping-Cho, which is this girl, and to also to what else were they doing? Marco Polo wanted to get the Khan to let him go back to Venice. Because because the Khan was like, "Yo, I'm not going to let you leave. You're an important part of my court."
And then Ian, I think Ian gives away that the TARDIS can fly, and Marco's like, whoa. The Khan will let me go back to Venice if I give him this. So he just hijacks the TARDIS. He just takes the TARDIS.
Yeah. And there's also this guy named Tagana who's with them.
He's a warlord representing
Nogai.
Nogai, yeah, right. Because Nogai had battled the Khan before, and Tagana was going to negotiate a peace settlement.
But he actually wants to kill the Khan.
Spoilers!
It's revealed.
We're not that. No, that's like the second episode.
Yeah, but all they do in that time is just travel.
Yeah, most of these episodes are traveling.
They travel a surprising distance. They travel from from
Asia,
like across China. They start in former USSR territory. I don't know.
It's a mountain. They call it the roof of the world.
It wasn't the Himalayas, was it?
Central Asia. And then they cross the Gobi Desert, so...
They travel really far in a short amount of time.
It takes them a couple weeks.
But still...
the final leg of the journey, just from that one city to the other city Marco mentions, took them a week.
What, Shang-Tu to the Summer Palace or something?
Yeah,
or was the Summer Palace in Shang-Tu? I don't even remember. But still, I would think that it would take longer, on horseback /caravan /walking.
They think the TARDIS is a caravan.
Yeah, it basically is. I mean, it's a
sort of
time-traveling caravan.
Surprisingly light time-traveling caravan.
Yeah, they
lift it onto their caravan and carry it in their caravan. I feel like if the TARDIS is bigger on the inside, it should weigh more than just a wooden box.
suspension of disbelief.
In the fourth serial of the season.
It's a show about a time-traveling alien. Deal with it.
With a TARDIS that weighs enough that people can put it on a caravan and move it.
Yep.
Right.
So they travel off the mountain, and they basically, a lot of the serial is them traveling to different cities that all look the same.
Suspiciously.
Did you notice that? Like all this.
Well, maybe because they just reused the same picture of the TARDIS in the courtyard for every single one of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's probably why.
So.
But they do travel to a lot of cities. And then,
the Cave of 500 Eyes.
We're not there yet, even though I spoiled Tagana's plot.
Let's try to follow along with these notes that I took while I was watching it. Barber was useless in the sandstorm. Oh, that's episode 3.
The sandstorm was 3? I thought it was 2.
It was at the end of 2, beginning of 3.
Oh, yeah. So they're traveling to the Khan's palace, which is on the other side of... which is basically pretty far away. And they have to travel through the Gobi Desert.
Or maybe the sandstorm was 2.
Yeah, I think the sandstorm
Yeah, the sandstorm was 2, because then the third one was the Cave of 500 Eyes.
Yeah. So they're traveling along, and Tagana actually wants to kill the Khan.
Secretly.
Yeah. No one knows, because he wants no guy to be the ruler and
of the
stuff.
world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they run out of water. Right? That happens.
Yeah, and then Tagana kind of tries to turn... The Marco Polo isn't really fully trusting of the Doctor and...
Ian and Barbara and Susan.
Yeah, because the Doctor is kind of being stubborn as usual with him. And that...
Well, Marco just stole his home. He lives in the TARDIS.
The Doctor could have made it so much easier for them, though, if he hadn't been... I don't know. He was just really stubborn and... I mean, I feel like he's supposed to be... Like, over the past couple serials, he should have learned to not be as stubborn, but he was just pretty stubborn in this one. And then
I feel like he had reason to be in this one. In the other ones, maybe not, but this one he did.
Well, like, they all make it a little hard. I mean, I think Ian's the only one who doesn't make it harder on them. Barbara and Susan definitely do near the end for a reason that we'll
get there.
Yeah, we'll get there, but they kind of ruin their chances of going home sooner by something they say. But anyway.
Okay, what happened in episode 2? The sandstorm. Susan was following... Was it Susan? Susan was following Tagana?
Susan and Ping-Cho. They go out
followed
in the sandstorm.
Tagana. Lots of people follow Tagana in this serial, and all of them fail at finding out what he wants.
Yeah. Tagana...
wants to poison the gourds so he can kill Marco Polo so he can take the TARDIS, but he doesn't do that because people find him while he's about to poison the gourds. But he's already slashed them all open, so now they don't have water, so they send Tagana ahead to the oasis so he can get them water. Okay, that sums up episode 1 and the beginning of episode 2. Right.
And then he gets to the oasis, and there's this weird scene where he picks up some water, and then he pours it out, and he's like, "Take that, Marco Polo," because he thinks they're all gonna die getting to the oasis.
Right. Then they find condensation on the inside of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
To drink. See, I wrote down this note that was like, "Doesn't the TARDIS have water?"
This is a terrible summary. Oh well.
They always are, and we're only in episode 4. I wrote, "Doesn't the TARDIS have water?" Because remember in the previous episode,
they just have a water dispenser or something.
Yeah, but then he explained it and he said, "Oh, like the circuit in the TARDIS because it was broken, they couldn't get the water out of the TARDIS or whatever."
I thought before that Marco Polo wasn't letting them in the TARDIS.
Yeah, he wasn't.
And then, why were the Doctor and Susan in the TARDIS?
You clearly missed the whole thing with the Doctor collapse and he was basically dying again. So
they put him in the TARDIS?
Yeah, because they had nowhere else to put him.
Okay.
But he only put the Doctor and Susan, and he made Barbara and Ian stay outside so the Doctor couldn't escape.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then they got to the oasis and they got water, and then they finished crossing the desert. And then...
They get to this next city, and there's this cave called the Cave of 500 Eyes.
Because there's 250 people painted on the inside. Each of them has 2 eyes, so that makes 500.
And that's where Tagana goes to the cave alone to meet with Akamat, who's like... Akamat, however you pronounce it.
The leader of his troop.
Well, he's in league with Tagana. He's part of No Guy's army, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
So they plan to do some stuff. And then
Barbara followed.
yeah,
Tagana.
Barbara is like, what the heck is Tagana doing? Because the Doctor and friends are suspicious of Tagana, and they try and tell Marco Polo that Tagana's not a
sketch.
Yeah,
Tagana's sketch. But Tagana keeps telling Marco Polo that the Doctor and Barbara and Susan are sketch.
Which, I mean, if I was Marco Polo, I'd believe that. Because, I mean, just why? What are they doing there?
Yeah, I guess. I mean...
But yeah, Barbara follows Tagana to the Cave of 500 Eyes and gets kidnapped.
By the guards. And then the best caption, the guards play dice to decide who's going to kill Barbara. So then, I don't know, Susan or Ian, one of them is like, whoa, where's Barbara? And someone mentions that she left and went to the cave. Something like that. So
then they follow Barbara.
And they're about to give up, but then they find, like, Barbara's scarf or something on the floor.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's, in his grumpy old man voice, is like, no, we must stay and find her now. We know she's here. And there's a secret there's a secret hole in the wall.
Yeah.
That didn't happen till episode 4, though. The Wall of Lies.
So then they, Barbara was like, when they rescue Barbara...
The Mongol dies.
Yeah, so...
That's the first update date to the death count.
Death count 8. They kill the Mongol who's holding Barbara...
Tagana does.
Captive.
Tagana kills the Mongol.
Tagana kills a lot of people.
Probably to try to preserve his story.
Yeah. But so they, so Tagana was like, this is the first time I've been to the cave, and Barbara was like, no, it's not.
I followed you here. Except then Marco Polo believes Tagana and not Barbara.
I would.
I wouldn't.
Why would you believe
I believe
the
neither
person
of them.
you just...
I wouldn't believe Tagana saying it's his first time there. And I wouldn't believe Barbara. Well, I would partially believe Barbara because Barbara's useless.
What? I believe Tagana because I know him.
Right, and that's what Marco Polo said, but that's a retarded reason. Why would you only just believe him? And then when Ping-Cho and Susan go to Marco Polo and say, how did Tagana know that there's a wall there when it was all dark? That makes sense!
Yeah, well, that happens later.
That happens in the same episode, within like 10 minutes.
But later, I don't know. Ping-Cho's reason was kind of weird, which Marco Polo was...
I thought it was smart. I would have believed it. I would have been like, yeah, maybe that's pretty sketch. I wouldn't have told Tagana that I thought he was sketch, but I would have at least started suspecting him.
Well, he does start suspecting him.
But then Tagana pulls that whole, they might be lying, you know. They're travelers from another place.
Yeah. So Marco Polo's kind of caught between wanting to believe Tagana and wanting to believe the Doctor and friends.
Marco's a dick.
Well, I wouldn't just automatically believe the Doctor and Barbara and Susan and Ian.
But I wouldn't immediately believe Tagana either.
My first instinct would be to believe Tagana more than
Mine wouldn't.
Well, like, I don't know, Marco's known Tagana. And he's basically, I guess, been trustworthy up until that point. I mean, assumedly.
Yeah, but just given the post 2 episodes where Tagana went to get water and then he didn't come back and they met him at the oasis.
Yeah, he's starting to act pretty sketch, which is why the Doctor is kind of suspicious of him. But he's also suspicious of...
Right, so I wouldn't believe either of them, like I said.
I'd lean more towards Tagana, to be honest.
I wouldn't. Let's just move on. Episode 4. So they carry on, they get to the Great Wall. Boring.
What?
Polo steals the key. Well, he takes the key from the Doctor, the key to the TARDIS. And then the Doctor's like, oh yeah, I have this backup key.
What even happened after that?
After he got the backup key?
I mean, they try and go back into the TARDIS, and the Tagana finds them and stops them. Because Tagana makes a deal with this guy named Kwiju, who's wearing an eye patch.
Doesn't happen until episode 5.
Aren't we there yet?
Yeah, in episode 4, the Doctor breaks into the TARDIS at nighttime.
Yeah, and that's when Tagana finds them. Or that's when he gets Susan, and he...
This is the first time I wrote down racist names and accents.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Other guy.
So, all of the Asian characters, or most of them, are played by, like, white people, and they have these really racist accents. Or not race. I mean, I guess
it's like
racist.
It's less racist and more just stereotypical.
Yeah, just really stereotyped Asian accents that are pretty bad.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Ping-Cho's is the only one that's good, and that one's not stereotypical.
Wasn't Ping-Cho actually Asian though?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Whatever.
I didn't look at the actors' names. I just like sword fight choreographed by Derek Ware.
Yeah, Chen-Chu was definitely the worst offender of that.
Right.
Or, Wang Lo? Was it Wang Lo?
Yeah, Wang Lo.
Yeah, there's these two guys at the different cities / way stations that they're
kind of like the leader of the towns, I guess, or the leader of the shipping corps.
Yeah, or like I thought they were just like proprietors or something. They were people,
something like that,
and they had really stereotypical accents. And
was 5 the Forest of Bamboo, where they throw some stuff on the fire to bang bang?
I think that's the beginning of 6.
I think it's 5. I think it's 5 because I watched 6 and 7. I watched this morning. It definitely didn't happen in those. It was definitely 5.
Okay.
So the doctors finally fixed the circuit, right? So they have this plan
to sneak back into the TARDIS.
Ian accidentally smashed a plate and he realized he can use it to cut open the tent on the back.
No, we skipped the whole part where Tagana takes Susan hostage and then Marco starts to distrust the Doctor more because they tried to escape back to the TARDIS. Well, that happens, and yeah. Then they continue on. The Doctor, like Susan's separated from Ping-Cho. The Doctor and Ian and everyone are more watched, I guess, and they're like locked up in a tent and guarded.
Yeah, there's one guard
who's dead. The guard is a zombie.
No. Ian sneaks out the back of the tent and he's going to go knock out the guard, but then he finds the guard is dead, so that ends episode 4. Then we move into episode 5.
9!
Yeah, that brings the death count to 9. Then in episode 5, Ian wakes up Marco and is like, yo man, bandits and stuff, they killed the guard. So then Marco's like pretty distrustworthy of Ian. He's like, where are these bandits, man? What if you just killed the guard? But then the bandits show up because...
Tagana actually killed the guard.
Yeah, Tagana killed the guard.
Because he was going to... Because Akamat and the other people in No Guy's band were going to kill everyone in their sleep. So right. Tagana was like, hey, I'll kill the guard so you guys can come and do that.
And then Tagana had to light the fire to signal them.
Yeah.
And he was in the process of doing that. And then Marco Polo was like, yo, man, bandits. He's like, what? Where? And then, just when you think the bandits aren't going to come and Marco Polo's going to murder Ian for lying, the bandits decide they're just going to attack when the moon comes up without Tagana's signal anyway.
Because they thought Tagana, like, betrayed them or, like, died or something.
Yeah, so they attacked anyway.
And they fight, and then Tagana kills Akamat.
Because he was going to give him away.
Yeah. So 10
on the death count.
Tagana's killed all of them so far.
I think he kills everyone except for 1.
Yeah.
No, 2. He doesn't kill Chuchu.
Yeah. Spoiler. Guiju dies. Spoiler.
Yeah, because Ping-Cho runs away.
Okay.
No, okay, so Ping-Cho steals the key from Marco Polo, gives it to the Doctor, and then...
gives it to Susan.
Right.
I like the scene where they're talking about the fish. That was funny.
Oh.
There's this scene where Ping-Cho and Susan are in this courtyard, and they're looking at this pond of fish, and they're saying, oh, that one looks like the Doctor. That one looks like Marco Polo. I thought it was funny. And then... So Ping-Cho runs away, as you said.
No, that's after they catch them sneaking to the TARDIS. And that's when Tagana captures Susan.
Oh.
Tagana captures Susan, forcing them out of the TARDIS because they were about to get away. But Susan went back to say goodbye to Ping-Cho, which slowed her down enough that Tagana caught her. So they came out, and then Marco Polo's like, what's going on? Tagana's like, I caught these people sneaking to the TARDIS again. Marco's like, wow, I give up.
Yeah, then he's... starts really distrusting.
And then Ian defends Ping-Cho and he's like, I found the key in your room. And he's like, okay. And then later, Ian was trying to tell that Marco Polo that his machine, or the TARDIS, was time traveling.
Yeah, he tells him it's a time machine. Marco Polo's like, nope.
I don't believe it. Nope. He believes it can fly, but he doesn't believe it's a time machine.
But that's the weird part, because it doesn't actually fly. Like, when they and they see
It moves through space and time.
Yeah, but it doesn't like fly and like.
But they said it would fly.
Yeah, they said it would fly, but.
And the reason Marco Polo believed that was because he's seen Buddhist monks make carpets fly and stuff.
Yeah, and if I was Marco Polo in the end, I would just be like, it didn't fly. Anyway, whatever.
So Ping-Cho runs away because
After
Marco Polo
giving-
asks Ian where he found the key, and Ian can't answer. He's like, wow, so you're lying, so I can't trust you anymore. So Ping-Cho runs away, thinking she's going to get caught. And Ian volunteers to go back after her. So they go back to the previous city with the really racist leader.
Wang Lo.
Where Tagana arranged for the TARDIS to be stolen and taken to Karakoram.
And then Quiju's like, yo, give me all your money, Ping-Cho.
I'll give you passage on our trade caravan. And then he just robs her and takes the money and never comes back. And then Ian finds her.
Pro Quiju.
And they find out that the TARDIS was taken to Karakoram. So they go there. And Tagana just instilling more seeds of doubt in Marco
Tagana
Polo's
goes
mind.
back. Marco Polo is like, hey, Ian hasn't come back. And Tagana's like, I knew he just ran away and went to his time machine or caravan and just left. So Tagana goes back to the previous city. I guess that was Shang too. I don't even know. Heck if I remember the names.
They're all the same. So, yeah.
They all looked the same.
Yeah. So they go... So Tagana goes to Karakoram. He finds Ian and...
He reveals his evil plan to Ian and Ping-Cho.
Yeah, Ian and Ping-Cho. Which Marco Polo doesn't believe them when Ian tells Marco Polo this.
Yeah, if I was Marco at that point, I'd be like, Tagana.
Pretty sketch. But, so what happens from there? So then Quiju dies.
No, because Ling Tao is like this
Rider.
messenger for the Khan.
Messenger rider.
And he shows up.
And he's like, guys, sup?
And then
the Khan said to bring you guys back to the castle. And then Quiju tries to run away, and he says, "Stop that man!" And they kill him.
And the guards kill him, and Ling Tao is like, "Whoa, I didn't say kill him." But then nobody cares, and they just go about their merry business.
And they head on to the Summer Palace, which is
They get there.
in Shang.
They pass the wall. They don't make that big of a deal about passing the Great Wall of China, which I thought would be like a pretty, not a big scene, but I thought they'd mention it. But instead, it was just like this little map thing, where like we passed the wall. I kind of like those maps though. As they were traveling, they showed this like map with a line.
This is the only episode that does that.
That's cool. Kind of cool
Fun
though.
fact. Also, fun fact: this is the only episode, one of the only episodes in the original series to have a voiceover narration.
Yeah, it's narrated by Marco Polo, his older self,
His older, wiser self.
back in Venice.
So at some point during this, they've reached the Summer Palace, and they command everybody to kowtow for the...
I'd never heard that term before this.
I have. World history.
Oh.
So...
It's just bowing, right? Or
It's like
like
this
paying
really-
respect, or...
Yeah. It's for paying respect, but there's like a complicated process that I don't know the exact specifics of, so I'm not going to try and say it. But
Yeah.
the Doctor can't bend down enough to do it. So the Khan is all upset. He's like, "Why are you not getting down?" He's like, "Oh, my back!"
But then they become
broken!
No, the Doctor and the Khan become good friends
they
because
become
they're both old, decrepit.
Yeah, they become friends. And then the Doctor is playing backgammon with the Khan and is destroying the Khan, basically.
Yeah,
the Khan owes the Doctor half of his empire at this point. And the Doctor says, "Okay, we'll make one more game. If I win, I get the TARDIS. If you win, you get to keep everything you've given me already."
And the Khan is like, no, take Sri Lanka or something.
Yeah,
or
take some random island. He's like,
was,
no, I only want the TARDIS. And Ian and Ping-Cho come back, right?
Yep.
Before this. And then, so they're telling Ian that...
No, they're telling Marco Polo
They're telling Marco... Yeah, no, Marco Polo comes in, and the Khan tells him that he's giving away his gift in this game of backgammon if the Doctor wins. And Marco Polo's kind of upset. He's like, right? And then he goes outside.
Yeah. And then Ian and Ping-Cho tell Marco that Tagana wants to kill the Khan, but then he doesn't believe them. Yeah, he doesn't believe them because Ling Tao didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
So, now Tagana and Ian are on trial. They're going to be on trial, right? That was the implication there. Because Tagana was
but then
bringing up
Tagana
charges against Ian, and Ian was bringing charges against Tagana.
Yeah.
And Ping-Cho was going to be
pardoned.
with Ian.
But she got pardoned by her husband.
Right.
Her
Yeah, during this whole thing,
room.
It turns out Ping-Cho is going to marry this
Yeah, we
person
forgot
old
to
enough to
mention
be a
that.
grandfather.
Yeah, she's going to marry this 75-year-old.
Which upsets
something-
Susan. Susan doesn't like that.
No, at that point, though, if I
doctor
was
loses.
Marco... Okay, that too, but if I was Marco... I mean, I can see why he believes Tagana, especially since Ling Tao didn't hear anything. And Ling Tao's like, I didn't hear Tagana say I was going to overthrow the Khan. And Marco's been loyal to the Khan for, like, years. But at that point, I'd be pretty dang suspicious of Tagana. Which I guess Marco is, but I guess he just wants to do his duty.
Because all he wants is to go back to Venice.
Yeah, did we mention that the reason why...
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We mentioned that he's taken the TARDIS to try and bribe the Khan.
Which doesn't work!
Yeah, because as soon as the Khan finds out that Marco was trying to bribe him, he's like, you were trying to bribe me?
Not really like that. He was just like, haha, you were trying to bribe me. Well, it's not gonna work.
So the Doctor loses his game of backgammon.
He just shows up and he's like, guess what, guys? After winning for consecutive games, I bet the one thing we actually wanted and lost.
But he gave me this consolation prize, some paper money. And then he just starts laughing for some reason.
Yeah, the Doctor goes insane. Then they get locked up again. They get locked up a lot by the Daleks, by the cavemen. They get trapped in the TARDIS. And in the tent. Now again in the Khan's palace.
Well, once again, Ian and the Doctor come up with a plan to get out. And Ian yells for the guard to come in, and the Doctor jumps him. And they escape, and they meet Marco Polo in the hallway, and Marco calls for some guards to bring them back to their room.
And then Tagana's about to actually assassinate the Khan, like, right then.
And Ian is like, we figured it out! Tagana's gonna assassinate the Khan!
Master deduction. Little did they know. Little did Tagana know. He was dealing with Sherlock Holmes.
Well, I actually wrote that for episode 3, Barbara equals Sherlock Holmes, but I don't remember what she deduced there.
She was the first one who was onto Tagana, really.
Right, probably. Probably why I wrote that down. So they run in.
Yeah, you took detailed notes. I didn't.
There was this 2-minute fight between Marco Polo and Tagana.
Oh, wait. There was that whole scene where the Khan was like, Ping-Cho, come in! And then, so Ping-Cho is like in an audience with the Khan, and he's like, your husband drank Mercury last night and died. And she's like, yay.
Oh, look, here's exactly what the Doctor has won. 35 elephants, 4,000 white stallions, 25 tigers, the sacred tooth of the Buddha, and the entire commerce of Burma for a year.
He should have just kept it all. And then, like, they should have gone to the future and, like, seen how that... I don't know. But, yeah.
But
dude
at some point in this
Mercury,
episode, Marco's like, wow,
dies.
I was wrong for taking the TARDIS. Because he basically stole it.
Yeah, he does. He regrets doing it at the end, probably because it gets him into a whole mess of trouble.
Exactly.
But anyway, they're off to go fight Tagana because he's actually...
Well, Tagana, first of all, then kills the Vizier.
Yeah, they enter the Khan's, like, throne room or whatever, and then they just see Tagana, like, stab the Vizier and kill him. So he dies.
So...
And then Marco fights Tagana.
And then he disarms him, the guards capture him, and the Khan's like...
I don't know, I kind of like that fight scene, even though it was just still pictures.
Still pictures like this. Mm-hmm. So, Tagana kills himself.
Yeah, Tagana loses, Marco disarms him and doesn't kill him, and then he gets... The Khan... What I thought was weird when I was watching that scene is the Khan was there, right?
Yeah.
He calls in the guards at the very end, like after Marco disarms Tagana, the Khan is like, guards, come in here!
I think he was too scared. He was, shocked.
He
Shock and
owns,
awe.
like, most of the world.
No, he owns, like, all of Asia, and that's it. By Kublai Khan, the empire was starting
Okay,
to
but that's
crumble.
still a lot. But anyway, I don't know. I just thought it was weird that he called in the guards at the end. But Tagana gets captured, and instead of getting put on trial, I guess he probably would have died. He just stabbed himself. dies.
And then Marco Polo,
It's
in the
just-
confusion, gives the doctor the keys.
He's just like, leave,
Go,
never
go,
come
go,
here again.
go.
And then they
get in the TARDIS and he goes...
Yeah, Marco and the Khan watch the TARDIS disappear. And then the Khan, like, lets Marco go back to Venice.
Yeah, he says, this is a story you'll be able to tell all your peeps in Venice.
Your peeps in those exact words. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention.
Right.
They don't speak, like, I guess they're all speaking the same language. They all understand each other, right?
Right.
Which I'm okay with, like, sort of suspension of disbelief with that and stuff. It's fine with me. But there's this scene, I remember, where Susan is like, that's cool, or like, that's rad, or something like that, and Ping-Cho's like, what does that mean? Which I thought was kind of weird. I mean, Ping-Cho didn't know what the slang meant, right? So I thought that was kind of weird, because if you're assuming that they're speaking the same language...
Well, if you don't mind me spoiling, like, one scene from the new Doctor, when they visit Pompeii with the 10th Doctor... Well, Donna Noble brings up, says, why can we read everything and why do they understand us? And the Doctor says that the TARDIS has translation circuits. For the people who are using the target, it can translate. So I'm guessing, like, rad is just a slang word that came about, like, in Susan's time, which they wouldn't, like, there probably wasn't a way to translate it into Ping-Cho's language, which is why she's like, what does that mean?
What if it's like Google Translator? You just say something completely wrong, and they're just like, what? What are you talking about?
Who are you people? What are you saying?
I guess that kind of makes sense.
So,
Also, the sandstorm. Let's talk about the sandstorm.
The sandstorm, the best special effects of the entire episode.
It was
reconstruction.
It was this howling wind, and you couldn't hear what anyone was saying because it was so loud. This wind.
If there was any music in this serial, you couldn't hear what people were saying over it.
The music in this serial actually did get in the way because it was so loud.
There was like one...
In the beginning.
There was like one or two parts where there was music, but I could still hear the talking, but I don't remember where they were now.
It was mostly near the beginning and the music was too loud.
Yeah.
And like in the sandstorm, everyone was screaming and they were just like, ah! 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 And then the wind was like... And there were those little particles flying across the screen. Yeah, the sandstorm effect was obviously the still images because it's reconstruction, but there were these little white dots flying across the screen. I kind of liked that.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was funny, actually. I was like, wow. But that scene, I was pretty sure they were yelling something about, we need to go back to the camp, and then Ping-Cho was like, no, we'll get lost, and Susan's like, we have to try, and then Tagana's like, dun-dun! It's Tagana, and then it cuts to the camp, and they've somehow made their way back.
Yep.
I didn't understand that, because Tagana was going back because he told his posse that he was going to come back on the third night, right? But there was that sandstorm. So he was already, like, out when Ping-Cho and Susan were following him. Why did he come back?
If you get caught in a sandstorm, you could, like, die or be completely lost, so...
Right, but, like, he was far enough away that they couldn't see. Like, Ping-Cho and Susan were far enough away that they couldn't see the camp anymore. And Tagana was further than that. So, A, how did he get
just
back?
Killed them.
B, why did he come back?
Tagana's
He could have just waited till the sandstorm was done, continue on to the scene, and be like, sorry I was late, there was a sandstorm. Instead of later being, why didn't you come back? There was a sandstorm.
Well, I thought it was like the sandstorm was first picking up. It wasn't like in full swing yet, so they wanted to get back before that. So Tagana was just like, yo, let's just save all our lives. And Tagana is basically master of deception, so...
I hated Tagana. I was so happy when he died.
What? It's pretty brutal. He was alright. He was a good antagonist. I liked him as an antagonist.
He was written well enough that I hated him. Which I guess is the...
I guess it's the point.
Yeah.
He should have won. He should have killed the Khan and then killed Nogai and then become Lord. And the series should have just been about Tagana.
If he's gonna kill the Khan, but then let Nogai take over, why doesn't he just kill Nogai too and take over?
Maybe he just likes Nogai. Maybe he's just loyal to Nogai. The series actually, Tagana should have just slashed everyone to smithereens, and the series should have just been about Tagana. He should have learned how to use the TARDIS and time traveled.
I like how they kept saying that their Buddhist monks could figure out how the TARDIS works.
Maybe they could have. I mean, I doubt it, but you never know. The Doctor figured it out.
The Doctor went to Time Lord Academy.
I like the part where they're in the Khan's palace, and someone refers to the Doctor as the Doctor, and the Khan's like, so you're a medical doctor? And the Doctor's like, hell no, I'm not a medical doctor.
I'm not a doctor of that profession.
Yeah.
They keep referring to the
drink
Khan's
Mercury.
gout. So I think this is my favorite cereal so far.
Let's drink Mercury.
No.
Really your favorite?
Yeah, so far. Out of the 4 that we've watched, this has been my favorite.
I like the Daleks better than this.
I enjoyed this one. I only wish I could have seen the footage of this one.
I liked the Daleks more because I like the Daleks themselves.
You get sick of the Daleks eventually. Like, I'm just... Every time they come back, I'm like, wow, they're back.
Well, the first time was nice. First time was pretty great.
Right, but everybody's seen them 10 times at least.
I guess by then I'll be sick of it, but the first time was pretty good.
I like this one better. I felt like it was paced far better than the Daleks. It had far
just more
characters. There was a lot more stuff happening. It was just way more exciting, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think, for me, the order I've liked them in so far is first the Daleks, then this one, then Unearthly Child, and then Edge of Destruction.
Edge of Destruction is definitely my least favorite, but I don't know. Yeah, I think Daleks was better than An Unearthly Child, but I still like this one the best. It's my favorite one.
Well, yeah, you're right that this one did have more going on than the other ones, and it was just longer in general.
Well, it was the same length as the Daleks. They're both 7 episodes.
Oh, Daleks was 7?
Yeah.
How did we watch that in 1 week?
Very fast.
Oh, yeah. We should say that this was the first time we watched on our own time. Because before this, we'd watch the episodes together. But for this one, we couldn't figure out a good schedule to do that just because of stuff that was happening. So we watched them on our own time. And now we're convening.
Apparently with very different opinions.
Yeah.
I wrote down a note here that says,
Tigana.
is the Doctor really in pain?
Yeah,
Because
maybe
I thought
he
maybe he was faking it so that he could get close to the Khan to get his TARDIS back.
Yeah, then the Doctor would be Master of Deception. He would dethrone Tigana.
Suddenly the Doctor...
But I don't know, maybe. Could have been.
I mean, I don't know if that was intended, but that would have been really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
See any of these other notes that I wrote down. Oh, yeah, there was a naming discrepancy for the 3rd episode. I don't know if you noticed it, but at the end of the 2nd episode, it said the next episode would be called The Cave of 500 Eyes, but then the next episode was just called 500 Eyes.
Oh. Was it just called... Wait, was it just called that on the file, or was it actually in the episode?
No, that's the actual name.
That's true. I noticed that. I thought it was just the name of the... I thought the video...
file?
Yeah. But I guess it wasn't. And I didn't really pay attention in the
No,
episode.
because I also thought that, but then as soon as the 3rd episode started and it came up and said 500 Eyes written by John Lucarotti...
The Singing Sands.
That didn't make sense to me, that
More
title.
more like the yelling sands that are so loud you can't hear the dialogue.
Oh, gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. What did we learn about the TARDIS in this episode?
Nothing!
There's one circuit that...
Water!
There's one circuit that controls the entire TARDIS.
The Doctor keeps not knowing... Or the TARDIS keeps breaking, and the Doctor's like...
No, he knows how to fix it.
He knows how to fix it, but he's not good at keeping it
He never
working.
has the materials to fix it.
He's just
like
not...
in the Daleks, he didn't have mercury for the fluid link.
He's just
and in
not
this
on
one,
top of things.
He shouldn't have been able to fix the circuit with 1289 AD technology.
He's just not on top of things.
I think the TARDIS is just screwing with him. It's like, lol, watching me break down.
And that saves him.
Because we know it's partially sentient, at least, because of the previous serial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think the Doctor just has to keep fixing it, and he shouldn't be able to.
Another thing I didn't like about the Doctor in this serial is that,
He didn't show up at all in episode 2?
No. I guess he didn't, but, Oh yeah, he was sleeping. He slept through the sandstorm! Like, how do you do that?
He was pretty tired. He's an old man.
But I didn't like... So basically, all what's been happening with the Doctor so far, what's sort of been, I guess, leading up with the Doctor is that he's supposed to, in the beginning, he was kind of a jerk, or just not full-on jerk, but just stubborn.
Right.
And I feel like he should be learning his lesson. I feel like he has been learning his lesson, but then in this serial, he was a little bit...
Well,
like, I felt the characterization was undone a little bit in this serial. I guess it's because his TARDIS was jacked. But
he stole his home. Imagine if you lived in a mobile home, and someone just stole your home. And now you're done screwed.
Well, he has to,
And not only that, imagine you're 500 years in the past, where technology hasn't even got to the point where they can fly.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Because they're so far in the past that they're just not even going to understand anything about the TARDIS or about the Doctor or anyone. So, I don't know. I felt like he should have kind of put himself in Marco Polo's shoes a little bit.
He was in Marco Polo's shoes. Marco Polo wanted to go home to Venice. And the reason he thought he was getting home was to take the TARDIS. The Doctor just wants to get home, but his only way home is also the TARDIS.
Yeah, but and they kind of go with each other when the Doctor...
Because it belongs to the Doctor first!
The Doctor should have known by this point that you catch... What's the expression? You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar?
Right. But Marco Polo stole the TARDIS. Marco Polo used vinegar. You fight fire with fire.
No,
to use another cliche.
Also, Susan. I don't remember if it was definitely Susan and Barbara. I don't remember if Ian also said this, but Marco was kind of. This is at a point when Marco was distrusting them. Actually, I think this is when Ian went back to get Ping-Cho. He was like, "You guys oppose Ping-Cho's marriage," and they're like, "Yeah, yes. We do."
I would have too.
Yeah, but I mean,
it was really scary.
But that's why Marco Polo was like, "Wow, you guys," and he starts distrusting them even more.
But if we're going to talk about the Doctor putting himself in Marco Polo's shoes, we should talk about the Marco Polo putting himself in the Doctor's shoes.
But he's from the 1200s. You just can't understand that stuff. He's actually pretty understanding in terms of that. I think he's pretty understanding considering he has no idea about any sort of technology or whatever. Meanwhile, Tagana is what I'd more expect their reaction to be, like they're evil spirits or something like that. Because Tagana thought they were ghosts.
I wrote down that Marco understands why the Doctor is distrustworthy. Somewhat. In 4th episode, at least.
Well, it all works out in the end. So, yeah.
I like the Doctor in this episode for some reason. I don't know why.
The Khan is definitely more understanding than I thought he would be.
Yeah, probably because the Doctor's also an old man.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, one of the things I wanted to note that I noticed this morning was that all of the characters are starting to fall into these specific roles. Like, Ian is the guy who does things, and the Doctor is kind of the brains behind it. Like, when they escape from the tent the first time, when they escape from the house the second time. The Doctor and Ian are kind of the guys who are falling into this role where they're the people who always do things, whereas Susan and Barbara tend to stay back and do more of the...
Sexism!
If you're Barbara, the do-nothing role, and if you're Susan, the get-yourself-lost role.
Guess it's just male supremacy. Maybe. Possibly.
Maybe. I don't know. Just something interesting I noticed. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it.
It's been like that since the first serial, though, to be honest.
But it was more so in this episode, this serial. Because Barbara, like, during the sandstorm, wanted to go out, but she didn't... Like, Marco Polo and Ian were like, "No, we'll get lost. Are you retarded?"
That's true, and they were right, because you shouldn't go out in a sandstorm.
So Barbara was being useless, again!
Well, she wasn't being useless. She just really wanted to save everyone.
Yeah, but she wasn't thinking. She acts before she thinks. Which is gonna get her in trouble, I'm sure. In a couple episodes. Or serials. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's gonna get us in trouble. Them in trouble. And I think Barbara's gonna get in trouble, and Ian and the Doctor and Susan are gonna have to save her. That is my prediction for the upcoming weeks.
It's happened before in this serial and in the Daleks.
It's gonna happen to a bigger extent, I think.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, Ian does the most out of any of them. The Doctor is just... The Doctor does stuff. Like, the Doctor's just kind of in his own world, just kind of doing his own thing. And then
It worked. I mean, he made himself a key and fixed the circuit somehow with 1289 technology.
But I don't know. I guess Barbara has been pretty useless. I like that she wants to save. Something. I mean, she does stuff in this. She goes after Tagana. I mean, her intentions.
Gets herself captured and almost killed.
Yeah, but her intentions are in the right place in this serial more than anyone else, really. In my opinion. And I don't know. I guess she's just after Edge of Destruction, I guess she's feeling pretty down that everyone's so on her case.
Exactly. Maybe she's just doing this to try gain their acceptance.
Be kind of bad, because if I was in her position, I'd just be like, screw you guys. You didn't believe me.
But you wouldn't be able to do that because there'd be no way for you to get home without the doctor.
Yeah.
There's no way for you to get back to 1963 if Marco Polo has your TARDIS.
That's true. They all have to work together, which they end up doing. I mean, so far, Ian, Susan, Barbara, and the Doctor have learned that they sort of have to work together and not oppose each other if they want to get back or if they want to get things done, which the Doctor should take to heart with Marco Polo.
No.
No?
No.
No?
Look, you're talking about the Doctor putting himself in Marco Polo's shoes, but why shouldn't Marco Polo do the same?
Because doesn't know as much. He's from the past.
He should know just as much.
He's from the 1200s. Why should he know just as much?
He's lived just as long as the Doctor. Even though the Doctor might be from the future, it's not like he's lived infinitely longer than Marco Polo.
Yeah, but...
This is the first incarnation. He's lived for, 70 years maybe?
Yeah.
Marco Polo, 60, 50.
Yeah, but people in our time know heck of a lot more than people in their time. Like, their society is also completely different. Like, remember in Unearthly Child, the caveman society was just, kill people if you don't like them or...
Yeah.
Just power over everything.
Right.
So their society is not closer to that, but, I mean, back then, it was still, struggle to survive or,
right?
More
but
put
they
yourself...
have the same situation.
They
Marco
do.
Polo wants to get home, the Doctor wants to get home, and they have the same means to the goal, and that's the TARDIS.
But the reason Polo's so distrustful of the Doctor, and everyone else, I guess, is that they just came out of nowhere in the mountains, and Tagana is, at his side telling them that they're bad people, when he's
But Marco Polo at least has other ways he can get back to Venice. If they take the TARDIS, the Doctor, Barbara, Ian, and Susan are stuck in 1289 in Kublai Khan's court.
I don't know. Even though Marco Polo is sort of in it for himself, which he admits in the end, he's like, I was in this for a selfish reason, and it was wrong of me to do that.
Yeah.
Still, I think the others should have been... I don't know, instead of opposing him, I think they would have gotten farther with sort of... I don't know. I don't know what they should have done, but I felt like the Doctor was just in opposition too much to Marco Polo when he should have let back a little bit. And maybe Polo should have let back a little bit too. And then it could all just be sunshine and rainbows, and everything could work out great. The end of Doctor Who.
I feel like the Doctor was so adamant about it because he wanted to get Barbara and Ian back to their own time too.
That's true, and that's why
the Doctor had a lot more at stake here because he had 4 people to worry about getting home, whereas Marco Polo had 1.
Well, I don't think it matters in terms of numbers. I think it's just each person's sort of thinking about themselves more than anyone else, which I guess is all right.
Well, the Doctor was in it less for himself than Marco Polo was.
Yeah, but I mean, Polo. I don't know. I understand where Polo was coming from, and I guess I also understand where the Doctor was coming from, but
I stand with the Doctor on this one.
I stand with Polo. Actually, I stand with Tagana, Master of Deception.
Wow. Wow.
Tagana was actually the best antagonist.
I concede that Tagana was the best antagonist and the most well-written character so far, but he's also the character I like the least out of all the serials we've watched.
Which is, I guess it's good, because you're supposed to not like him because he's an antagonist. I just like him because he's so evil. But I like the Daleks more because they're robots, and I like their voices. So if Tagana was a robot...
If Tagana was a Dalek...
They should have just... revealed, like, in the battle at the end that Tagana is actually a robot. Should have, like, had more arms come out and been like, yo, I'm a robot, and pulled some General Grievous level stuff. Quadruple wield swords.
I like when they gave the Doctor the sword, and he's like, do you know how to use this? No, of course I don't know how to use this.
Oh yeah, that kind of goes along with what you said about Susan and Barbara not really doing much, and Ian and the Doctor doing more than them. Because when they just told, during that fight scene where Tagana kills Akamat, they're like, just go back in the tent, and the Doctor, even though Susan is probably, actually Susan both and Barbara are probably more capable than the Doctor.
Probably, but
whatever. Just go with it.
Well, Ping-Cho, Susan, and Barbara were the only female characters in this serial, except for the Empress, who shows up in like one scene.
Yeah, what was the point of that anyway?
To yell at the Khan.
Yeah, I like backgammon. You know how to play?
No.
Oh, I actually do, and that's pretty fun.
Don't know how to play. We should learn how to play dice so we can decide who's going to kill Barbara.
I think it's just, like, odd or even. It's just, you can do so
I didn't
much
understand about that scene was how they were playing dice for long enough that Ian, Doctor, and Susan were able to come to the cave and then save Susan.
Oh, it was probably... Well, actually,
how many games of dice did they play?
It was probably like, you know when you're in elementary school and you're deciding who's it for tag, and you're like, nose goes, and the person who loses is like, no fair, let's do it again.
I want to kill the woman. No, I want to kill the woman.
Actually, during that whole scene, I was kind of thinking that too. I was like, how is all this happening in like chronological order?
Right.
So I thought maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just kind of...
It was like a situation where they don't show you everything in the right order.
Not where they don't show you everything in the right order, but they're like...
the timeline.
It's like, there's this one scene and this is happening, and the next scene is like at the same time or like just a little bit after or something like that.
So they kind of distort it and don't show you everything like sequentially.
Yeah. That's what I kind of thought, and I guess that
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. We kind of talked about music.
You got in the way in this, and none of it was catchy and good.
Yeah, in the last serial, you were talking about how you didn't think music could detract.
Well, I said that I didn't think it could detract if it was, like, just by being a bad song in general. But I think it detracted from this serial because it was loud, not that it was bad.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed the music, actually. I felt like it fit the time period they're trying to represent.
That's true.
And I felt like if they had just made it softer so we could actually hear what everybody was saying, I would have enjoyed it more. Like what you were saying, how it was too loud.
Yeah.
What else do we want to talk about? Talk about the length of each Doctor's stay. So back in the first episode, I think I mentioned that all the Doctors were 3 seasons. Well, I went and looked it up, and that's completely wrong.
A lot of them are 3 seasons, I think.
Well, in the reboot, they are. The 2005 reboot, they are. So we have the first Doctor was...
Except the 9th Doctor. The 9th Doctor.
9th Doctor, yeah. Well, the first Doctor was season 1, 2, and 3, and then like 2 episodes in season 4.
What the heck? He regenerates mid-season?
Yes.
That's weird.
It is. I don't know why they did that. And the second Doctor, season 4, 5, and 6.
Uh-huh.
The third Doctor, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Fourth, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Fourth is the longest lived in the original.
Fourth Doctor had it good.
6 seasons. The fifth Doctor, 19, 20, 21, with a special in the middle. Sixth Doctor was just 21, one episode of 21.
What the heck?
22 and then 23. And then the seventh was 24, 25, and 26. Eighth Doctor. TV movie, 8th Doctor. Ninth Doctor was 1 season. 10th Doctor was 3, 2, 3, 4.
Of the reboot.
And then 11th was 5, 6, and 7. So that fixes that discrepancy that I created in the first episode of this podcast.
It's generally, it's around 3 for each one. 3 or 4, except the 4th Doctor, who was super powerful, had
super popular, I think.
7 seasons, I guess.
I think he stayed... I think if you ask anybody what the Doctor looks like who watched the original series, they'll say the 4th Doctor.
Oh, at this point, I'd just say the 1st Doctor, because that's the only one I've seen.
Right, but most people who've watched all parts of the original series will say it's the 4th Doctor.
Yeah.
He's the most well-known, actually. I think even now, most people associate Doctor Who with the 4th Doctor. Either the 4th or the 10th. 10th became super popular for some reason.
Okay.
Probably because he was the first Doctor. I think how it goes is the first Doctor of most people who watch the original series will be the 4th, because he was there the longest, right?
Uh-huh.
And the most for the reboot will be the 10th, because the 9th was there for 1 season, and then the 10th would have theoretically been the first, because most people would just skip the 9th because he was only there for 1 season.
Why would you skip any of it, though? If you're starting at the reboot, what's the point of skipping?
I don't know. But I guess they would just... because the 9th is 1 season. Like, when me and my family started watching the reboot, we started with the 4th season of the 10th Doctor. The last season of the 10th Doctor.
Uh-huh. Okay. Do you know a bunch of spoilers now that you started on that?
Yes.
Oh.
Like, I
Dagana
know...
comes back.
I know why the 10th Doctor regenerates, and I know the entire first season of the 11th Doctor, so I know the entire overarching storyline of that. The 11th Doctor did say I did steal the TARDIS, so that is officially in the canon. Well, then he says I borrowed it. I always intended to return it.
Yeah, still the same thing.
Because I don't know if you know, between the 8th and the 9th, Gallifrey and the Daleks get wiped out in a time war.
Spoiler alert! What the heck? Wow. Thanks. Whatever. Actually,
that's why he can't return the TARDIS, because Gallifrey doesn't exist anymore. I think that about wraps up everything we wanted to talk about.
The death count is now at 14. The people
doubled.
who died in this serial were the Mongol in the cave, a Mongol guard, Akamat, Kwiju, Ping-Cho's future husband, who drank Mercury, the Vizier, and Tagana, all of which were killed by Tagana except...
the future husband.
Yeah. Even
and
Tagana
Kwiju.
was killed by...
Kwiju.
Yeah. Even Tagana was killed by Tagana.
Tagana
killed
basically
everyone.
Single-handedly doubled the death count. If we exclude the entire genocide of the Dalek race. Once.
Okay, we wanted to mention this, so why don't you go ahead and...
Oh, should I mention that? So we have set up an email where you can now contact us and send us questions, comments, concerns, or just general
Rants.
things related to our podcast.
Spam.
Maybe you really hated an episode and you wanted to email us a rant about how terrible it was. Or maybe you
we'll read it. We'll read it.
Yeah, we'll read every email. Well, unless it's spam, then we will delete you and we'll find you and we will yell at you angrily. So that email is the Doctor.
You can do that. I'm good. I'll just sit here and watch Doctor Who. You can go do that on your own.
The Doctor at decorativevegetable.com.
Once again, that is the Doctor at decorativevegetable.com. Email in the next 20 minutes to receive a free thing. No, you're not going to receive anything.
Nothing.
Free. We're keeping our TARDIS. We're not giving it away.
Yeah, we stole it.
What was that other thing we wanted to mention? There was something else.
Why didn't we write it down?
Oh, well,
the Doctor calls Chesterton Charlton. I wrote that down.
Yeah, he's been doing that.
I actually like that. I always look for that now when the Doctor messes up his name. It's kind of funny.
I guess they'll start writing it into the script on purpose now because of his mistakes. But it was what we wanted to mention was what we're watching next.
Right, because we forgot to do that last week.
Yeah, it's Secret of the Mariners.
No, the Keys of Marinus.
Marinus.
No idea what it's about.
The 5th story of the 1st season of Doctor Who.
Second story written by Terry Nation. First of several traveling serials.
Like The Chase, the Daleks' master
It introduced
plan.
the Vords. The first in a long line of deliberate but generally unsuccessful attempts to find an enemy as popular as the Daleks.
Okay, don't read the next paragraph. I think it's a spoiler.
Did you read it?
It just said in the 3rd episode, so I was like, I stopped reading.
Okay. Missing episodes. Oh yeah, most of the missing episodes have been found in Nigeria that we still have, that exist, have been found in Nigeria.
That's weird. I guess they really like Doctor Who.
See, here, countries.
15 found in Nigeria, 4 in Hong Kong, 3 in Cyprus.
2 in Australia and 1 in Dubai.
Isn't Cyprus in Egypt? Or is it...
No, Cyprus is its own country.
It is? I thought it was a city in Egypt.
Nope.
Where is it?
I guess we can look it up. Cyprus.
Cyprus
Pretty sure it's its
dispute.
own country. Officially the Republic of Cyprus. Eastern Mediterranean Sea. Island country. It's located east
North
of Greece,
of
south of Turkey, west of Syria and Lebanon, and northwest of Israel and north of Egypt. So you were close, sort of. Relatively. Within a couple 100 miles.
Okay. I think we're done.
Yep, I think that wraps us up. Alright.
See you next time.
Don't forget to email us.
Do it.